So a friend of mine and I are studying the books of First and Second Kings. And I always had this thought of like, what is the purpose of First and Second Kings, right? It gives you like this history of all the kings that reigned in Judah and Israel, right? Because Judah and Israel split the two kingdoms. You have the northern kingdom and southern kingdom. Northern kingdom, I believe, was Samaria, and the southern kingdom was Jerusalem, or it might be vice versa. But I know those are the two cities. They split after the reign of Solomon, after Solomon died. And it just goes through the kings and tells you like all that they did. You had some who were bad, um, and then some who were good. Now, majority of the kings in Israel or Yashar'al were evil, and in Judah or Yahudah, a lot of them were good. So I was just wondering, like, what was the point in First and Second Kings? But as my friend and I are going through and studying them, we're realizing that First and Second Kings really gives you an idea of what it looks like when you seek Yah in everything that you do, when you seek the Most High and you ask His permission in everything that you do, versus being impulsive, which we are a very impulsive generation. Hello, millennials, you're very impulsive. We make impulsive decisions all the time. But being impulsive and not seeking Him and doing things your way, leaning on your own understanding, right? Thinking that, oh, I don't need y'all for that. I can do this myself. I got it. We have this mentality of, I got it. I can do this myself. Like that movie, I can do bad all by myself. I can do all these things by myself. I don't need him. I don't need anybody's help. I am Miss Independent. I am Mr. Independent, INDEPENDENT, all that. The problem is, if you read First and Second Kings, you see where it's just like, why was you not? Like, you see what happens to other people who do not follow Yah, who decide to worship somebody else, worship something else, lean on their own understanding, do what they think is best, right? And you see these kings one after another. And the thing is, they're following in their father's footsteps. A lot of them are following in their father's footsteps. You saw what happened when your father was reigning as king. He did evil, he did terrible things. And what happened to him? And yet here you come following right behind him, doing the same thing. The same things are going to happen to you. We have kings in here who y'all was like, wipe out their whole bloodline, wipe out the whole bloodline, wipe out the whole house of, I think it's Yarbum, wipe out the whole house of Ahab, wipe out the whole house because they're doing evil in the eyes of Yah. They're not calling on him. One of the kings was diseased in the foot, right? And what happened was he decided to still call on the physicians instead of calling on Yah who could heal him. He refused. And it says he refused. Instead of calling on Yah, he called on the physicians. He was like, no, I would rather these people heal me. I would rather worship these people. And you see the other kings who were like, I would rather worship this God. I would rather worship this statue than to go with Yah, right? And I want to bring up Yehoshaphat, right? And he was the king of Judah. So we have the sovereign of Yashar'al or Israel, which I think at this time, and this is coming out of First Kings chapter 22. So we have the sovereign of Yashar'al, which is Ahab, and we have the sovereign of Judah, which is Jehoshaphat. So here's the thing: Ahab was like, "Do you know that Ramoth and Gilead is ours, and we are keeping silent from taking it out of the hand of the sovereign of Aram?" And he said to Yehoshaphat, "Do you go with me to battle at Ramoth Gilead?" And Yehoshaphat was like, "Yeah, I am with you. My people as your people. My horses are your horses." He was like, "Yeah, we the same. Like, what's mine is yours. I'm with you." And Yehoshaphat said, "But first, inquire for the word of Yah. Before we do anything, you need to seek him first. You came up with this plan and you're asking me to go with you. And I'm telling you, no, the first thing that you need to do is you need to seek Yah. You need to seek him first. And Ahab he gathered all his prophets, 400 men, right? And he said to them, do I go to Ramoth Gilead to battle or do I refrain? And what did they do? They said, go, right? Now, these prophets are not prophets of Yah. These prophets are prophets of some other God that Ahab, worships. And Yehoshaphat was like, nah, mm-mm. Is there not here a prophet of Yah besides that we might inquire of him? And Ahab was like, yeah, Micaiah, but I hate him because he does not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Yehoshaphat said, let not the sovereign say so. And so he was like, don't say that, you know. But the thing is, he didn't want Micaiah because Micaiah was going to tell him the truth. He likes the prophets to tell him the good things, what he wants to hear. And isn't that like us? We want people to tell us what we want to hear, but not what Yah wants us to hear or what we need to hear. And so he called him. Micaiah comes in, right? And they tell Micaiah, the servants that he sent, hey, only speak good things. Lie to Ahab. So Micaiah does that. And Ahab gets mad, was like, no, I know you're lying. So tell me the truth. And so Micaiah tells him the truth. And what happens? One of the other servants, his name is Zedekiah, yes, slaps Micaiah. And they throw him in jail. And then Ahab tells Jehoshaphat, see, see, I told you that's what he was going to do. And so what happens? This is what happens. Ahab tells Jehoshaphat, hey, we're still going to go do this thing. Despite what Micaiah said, we're going to do it anyway. Isn't that what we do? Isn't that what we do? But despite what Yah tells us, we still a lot of times go and do that very thing that he said not to do, right? And so he was like, we're going to still fight them anyway, but I'm going to wear a disguise, but you're going to wear your kingly robes, right? You're going to go dressed as yourself. And I'm like, red flag, Yehoshaphat, red flag. Like, do you not see the red flag? And Yehoshaphat was like, okay, let's go. And what happens? They start going after Yehoshaphat first because they thought that he was Ahab. And Yehoshaphat cried out and they were like, oh, he's not Ahab. But what did they do? They go find Ahab and they start going after him. And so, you know, he ends up dying, right? He ends up dying. He gets wounded, and the dogs licked up his blood where the whores bathed, according to the word of Yah, which he had spoken. And he went and did it anyway. He ended up doing what he wanted to do, and he ended up dying, just like Yah told him he was going to. Micaiah told him exactly what was going to happen, but he was like, I'm gonna see for myself, and he saw for himself. Now look at you, you dead, right? And we find ourselves in those types of situations. Not all the time does it end up that we die, but there are times that people do end up dying because they go and see for themselves. Like, no, I want to see what's going to happen for myself. We need to stop doing that. And so, another example with Yehoshaphat, a very similar situation, right? Now, Ahab has died, and his son Jehoram takes his place, right? And so at that time, since Yehoshaphat won against the Moabites had to go and basically into servitude for Yashar'al and Judah. And so now that Ahab has died, the sovereign of Moab, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, Mesha, Meysha. He was like, bet he's dead. I don't have to pay him no more. Let's go fight him. So what does Jehoram do? He was like, he went out and got some people, and he went and sent to Yehoshaphat and said, hey, let's ride. And Yehoshaphat was like, bet. So they get to the wilderness, right? The wilderness of Edom. Now, mind you, they also have the sovereign of Edom fighting with them. And you know how Edom, they don't like each other. Yashar'al and Edom, they don't like each other. They're always battling, you know. But at one point they're fighting together. They get to the wilderness, there's no water. They start complaining, right? And the sovereign of Yashar'al, Yehoram, he says, "What has y'all called these three sovereigns to give them into the hand of Moab?" And Yehoshaphat was like, "Is there a prophet of Yah here? Then let us inquire through him." And who was the prophet at this time? Elisha. And Elisha, let me tell you something. Elisha is real slick in the mouth when he talks to people. Like he really is real slick in the mouth. Like he doesn't have patience for people. And Elisha tells them, "What do I have to do with you? Go to the prophets of your father and the prophets of your mother." Just like his father called the prophets before they called Micaiah, Elisha was like, "No, go to the prophets. Go ask them, why are you coming to me? But since I have reverence for Jehoshaphat, I will help you. If I did not have reverence for him, I would not look at you nor see you." Right? And so Elisha tells them what to do, and they end up doing it. And they end up getting water. And that's the thing. We have to listen to what Yah tells us. And I do have a story that happened this past weekend. Um, when we take things into our own hands. So I was driving, going to assembly on Saturday, and I got on this. I was driving, not really paying attention, and just muscle memory ended up getting on this freeway that I don't actually usually take to go to assembly. And I look up, I'm like, why am I on this freeway? Like, why did I get on here? This is not the way that I meant to go. So what I do, I bust a U-turn, go back, and then get on the freeway that I wanted to get on, that I usually take to assembly. There was construction. They had the whole freeway shut down. And that was nothing but the Holy Spirit that got me on that first freeway to go to assembly. And I could have went that way, but I was like, no, that's not the way I normally go. I'm gonna go the way that I normally go. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And what happened? I was in traffic for over an hour trying to get to assembly, and assembly is not that far. It's literally only like maybe a 20-minute drive. It took over an hour because I decided to do what I wanted to do. And that's just like a minor situation, right? A minor consequence of my actions. Think of like all the other actions and the major consequences of our actions that happen. Like, and it just amazes me like how reading Kings is really a reflection of the same things that we're doing today. We're making these impulse decisions. We're doing what we want to do. Yah has already told us, hey, don't do that. And we're still doing it. We're like, no, I'll see for myself. I'll work it out for myself. I'm not going to ask him. The thing is, we need to inquire and ask Yah about every single thing that we do, no matter how big it is, no matter how small it is. It could be as simple as, what should I eat for breakfast this morning? What should I put on to wear this morning? Right? What song should I be playing? You know, which way should I go to work? Permission in every single thing that we do. And I'm also talking to myself because we have to remember, like, we're sitting here leaning every time you make a decision that is not of Yah, that you didn't ask him about, you are leaning on your own understanding. You are relying on yourself, and you're not relying on Yah. And that's the biggest lesson that we can learn from First and Second Kings, as well as First and Second Chronicles, is like, do not lean on yourself, because leaning on yourself will have you like these kings in this book. Not necessarily that you will die, but you will suffer some consequences. You will suffer some major consequences. And I know we also, me and my friend also talked about, drowning, how y'all will drown you based on this video from another friend. And the thing is, y'all will teach you a lesson the hard way if that's the decision that you make. If you decide to do things your way, he will teach you the lesson the hard way. And he will throw you in the deep end, throw you to the wolves to teach you a lesson, give you whooping, whoop your behind to teach you a lesson. Why not do it the easy way? Why not seek him first, ask his permission, do it his way the first time, And he won't have to throw you in the deep end. He won't have to throw you in there to see if you're going to sink or swim. Seek him in everything that you do. Rely on him in everything that you do. And the thing is, this may seem like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, like that just seems like too much. Read First and Second Kings. It's literally not too much. Like, what Yah does is light work. And that's something that, is often said. And I'll give you an example. When anything that he does for you is literally light work. So when Elisha was telling them, hey, this is what you're going to do. You are not going to see wind nor rain, yet that wadi is to be filled with water, so that you, your cattle, and your beasts shall drink, because they were thirsty. And he said, and this shall be but a light matter in the eyes of Yah. Anything you ask him for is light work. He can do any and everything for you. You just have to ask. He's literally waiting to cut for you to ask him. All you have to do is ask, and he will grant it. Now, don't get too beside yourself in what you're asking for. Be realistic and be for real when you're asking him for something. And, sometimes be expecting to wait. Be expecting to wait. And the thing is, I'm probably going to make another video about that, about waiting. Um, But sometimes you actually don't have to wait depending on your actions. So rely on Yah.